So, I'm a 32-year-old guy, and up until about a month ago, I was 3 weeks away from getting married. My fiancée and I had been together for 4 years, engaged for 1. The planning was a marathon, but we were finally at the finish line, and I genuinely thought we were in a good place. I was at work, trying to close out a massive project, when my phone buzzed. It was a text from her. I was expecting something about the wedding, but instead, I get this. Hey, just so you know, I'm going to spend the last few nights before the wedding with my ex. We need to get proper closure, so I can come into our marriage with a clean slate. The wedding's still on, of course. Love you. I had to read it a few times for it to sink in. She was going to spend the days before our wedding with the ex she always called the one that got away. And the casual little wedding still on, of course, felt like a pat on the head, as if she was doing me a favor. My first impulse was to call and just unload on her. But as I sat there, something else took over. It wasn't a problem to solve or fight to be had. It was a deal breaker, plain and simple. She had shown me her priorities. I took a breath and typed back, "Do what you need to do." I sent it and immediately put my phone on silent. I didn't want to see the reply. I opened my wedding spreadsheet, looked at the thousands of dollars in non-refundable deposits I'd paid from my own savings, and started making calls. I started with the venue. I told the manager the wedding was off. She was sympathetic, but reminded me about the deposit. I told her I understood completely. One by one, I called the caterer, the photographer, the band, and the florist. I dismantled a year's worth of planning in about an hour. It cost me over $20,000, but honestly, it felt like I was buying my own freedom. I didn't hear from her for 2 days. I figured she was off getting her closure. I went home and packed all of her stuff into boxes. I didn't trash anything, just packed it neatly and stacked the boxes in the spare room. Then I had the locks on the house changed. It's my house, bought long before I met her. So that was simple. The storm hit on Saturday night. My phone started blowing up. It was her. I let it go to voicemail. Then a flood of texts. "Call me now. What did you do?" "Answer your phone." Then calls from her maid of honor, her sister, and her mom. I ignored them all. I eventually listened to her voicemail. It was mostly hysterical shrieking, but I got the gist. She was at her bachelorette party at a winery when the manager from our wedding venue called her. He was just calling the secondary contact to confirm the cancellation. So, yeah, she found out her wedding was off in front of all her friends. The next morning, I got an email from a lawyer at her dad's firm. It was full of legal threats about causing severe emotional distress and misusing joint marital assets, my savings apparently. It demanded I reinstate all the vendors immediately or face a lawsuit for the entire cost of the wedding plus damages for humiliating her. The nerve was just incredible. I forwarded the whole thing to my family's lawyer, who called me back laughing. He told me not to respond and that he'd do some research. A few days later, they showed up on my doorstep, my ex, her mom, and her dad. I saw them on my Ring camera and decided to just talk to them through the speaker. She started yelling, "Open the door! We need to talk about this." "Nothing to talk about," I said. "You wanted closure. You got it." This is me closing our chapter. Her dad took over, trying to sound intimidating. "Son, you are making a catastrophic mistake. You humiliated my daughter. You have a moral and legal obligation. My only obligation is to myself. The deposits are gone. Your daughter's things are packed. Please leave my property." Then her mom started with a guilt trip. "After we treated you like a son, how could you be so cruel?" This was the part one was waiting for. My lawyer had found out some very interesting things. The ex-boyfriend wasn't just an old flame. He was a disgraced former business partner of her father's. And it gets better. A private investigator found that my ex-fiancée had recently co-signed a $100,000 business loan application with him. The loan's approval was contingent on her providing proof of significant assets and joint income after she married me. I let them finish. Then I spoke into the camera again. "You want to talk about cruel? Let's talk about the $100,000 business loan you co-signed with your ex 3 weeks ago." Absolute silence from the porch. I could see on my phone that my ex had gone completely pale. Her dad looked like he'd been struck by lightning. "You weren't getting closure," I said. "You were securing a loan. The plan was to marry me, get access to my finances, and then bail out your ex's failing business with my money. This was a financial arrangement." Her dad finally managed to speak. "You have no proof." "I have a copy of the loan application with her signature on it." I replied, "So you're all going to leave. If I get another email from your firm, my lawyer will forward everything we have to the bank's fraud department. I'm sure they'd be interested. I'm also sure the state bar would love to hear about a lawyer using his firm to intimidate someone into a fraudulent marriage. Get off my porch." They left without another word. Her dad basically had to drag her to the car. A day later, my lawyer sent a final email to theirs with a copy of the loan application attached. We never heard from them again. A month later, movers came and took her boxes. From what I heard, the loan was denied. The ex's business went bankrupt. My ex had moved back in with her parents. And someone made an anonymous tip to the state bar about her dad's firm, which is now under a lovely investigation. I'm out $20,000, but for the lesson I learned, it was a bargain.